horse drifted alarmingly in the betting was, fancied in the morning, continued to drift. It was late on the exchanges to lose. It was something you'd see in a Dick Francis novel, Charles Burns.
The ground is soft. It's not.
It's heavy.
Soft on times.
It's heavy.
Okay.
Master's Inquiry. It's the Sabbath. It's the Sunday sermon. And joining me, as always, to chew the fat of the goings-on in racing this week are my favourite two partners in crime, John and Chris. Good evening, chaps.
Good evening.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah, we're excited for the show, really. There's a lot of funny questions, so it should be quite a lot of fun as we go further down the show. As always, we will start the show off with a review of this weekend, where we had possible Cheltenham pointers, you could say, over the 2 days, maybe or maybe not. And I'll discuss this now with John and Chris. If you want to add opinion at any point, feel free to do so. We start off on the Saturday, John. There was a couple of interesting performances in Ireland to start off. Corbett's Cross, the Fry Nap, wasn't wanted on the exchanges.
No.
And did it rather cheekily. And
we were on the exchange.
Yeah, showed a lovely turn of foot. Where do you see this fitting in races going forward? Obviously, I think this looks his trip because he's just got that little bit of foot where he can just outpace any sluggard.
Well, we've got that intermediate noise chase now, haven't we, at the Fezzes? What the hell is it called? It's not the old Son of Lines, it's the new one they brought in.
It's not the...
Brown Summit?
Isn't it the plate or something? The plate?
Some bloody thing or other, anyway.
Yeah.
Everybody knows what we're on about. They're all racing fans, and they're all probably scratching their fucking nuts just the same as I was wondering what the hell race is called.
Absolutely.
But that would look an obvious target, wouldn't it, really?
It would. Racing fans will know and remember it from last year's festival as it ran out at the last and beat Founder 50 the time before. Founder 50's obviously over fences now and ran a great second in the Drimmore today behind I Am Maximus. So, yeah, I think Corbett's Cross is up there. I like him because he has got that foot. And I think that's important in a chase. I think it's all right just being able to gallop and jump, but having that little bit of speed. As Stallone's trainer in Rocky used to say, speed is what we need. Speed, greasy, lightning, fast speed.
Do you think
catch this chicken?
Yeah, I'm going to say, do you think Emmett will have this chasing chickens?
I didn't know Stallone's trainer was a Chinese fella. He learns something every day.
Is this Mark Terrible Impressions again?
Yeah. Yes.
Burgess Meredith. I'll hurt you, permanent. Permanent. He'll hurt you, permanent.
That's actually quite good. So, yeah, I'll take that back. That's not bad.
Anyway, right. So, yeah, Corbett's Cross. Me and John quite like it. Fry loves it. Obviously, she napped it on Friday. Great to have her back as a regular contributor on Friday's show because she actually knows what she's talking about, unlike me and John.
Well, I just like hers. I don't know.
So the 1250 race on the card there, Firefox overturned potentially one of Wicked Willie's better candidates for a Supreme Novice in Ballyburn and did it rather impressively, John.
It did. They were nicely cleared as well. I don't think it was a bad race. Nice to see Helvick Dream there as well in that race.
Group one winner on the flat.
Yeah, nothing if not ambitious.
We had a little convo, me, John and Jack, regarding the last runners to win Group 1s on the flat and go over hurdles. And all we could think of are Vintage Crop and Royal Gate, John. Is that right?
Yeah, we might get Serpentine back sometime soon.
From Oz, yeah, of course.
Get sick of him.
Yeah.
Might come back in a spell with Pipey.
McManus will buy it. It'll end up with Ben Haslam off 107 at Sedgefield.
Could be, yeah.
With JP landing a touch, going up from Nicky Hammond to win half a length.
When everybody's
scrambling
absolutely sick of Serpentine. Be 11 by then, won't it?
Well, that was it. I mean, going back in the day, John, that's when you said Coolmore were ruining the derby. You even said it.
Yeah. If ever a derby was ruined, it was that one, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Although the worst shit, them in behind.
It weren't a vintage year.
I
But
mean,
anyway,
that was probably the worst ever, really.
yeah. So going back to Firefox, gets a 10-1 quote for the Supreme. Does that interest you at all?
Not at this stage. I think if you're looking 14, 16, something like that, but I think 10s is about where it ought to be on that show.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any particular margin in taking 10s now. Probably have another run, won't it?
Yeah, the BFG raves about it. He says it's always been a top class horse. Yeah, he does raves about it.
You're
Well, anyway.
becoming Cheltenham boars.
It is. It's shit, isn't it? Yeah, I'm just thinking that now.
Come on.
I have got.
Oh shit! Oh, this looks value at 12s. I'd want to fuck it all off.
Yes, it wasn't.
It's all bollocks.
Exactly. Yeah, John.
I'm saying don't bet.
No bet. Yeah, no bet.
Indeed.
In
Right.
fact, stop betting.
Fast forward, shit, rubbish.
Right. Let's fuck off back across the pond to Newbury for the Coral Cup. That's all right. Gino advertising the skills of Jamie Snowden.
Yeah, he's good. I like him. He's really sort of come on, hasn't he, in the last couple of seasons? When he first took out a license, you thought, oh, he's another posh fella that's just going to bimble around in sort of the midday. But he, he's a decent operator, I think. He knows his onions, I reckon.
I reckon if he got the ammo that, say, Endo and Pumpkin did.
Yeah.
Imagine if Ammo sent him some ammo.
Ammo jumps ammo.
Yeah.
I agree. He's really impressed me, actually. And I think, I thought, he was a stereotypical kind of, moneyed individual, but no, he seems to target his horses really well. So yeah, I agree with you. I reckon if he gets better horses, he'll make cause some damage.
I smiled through gritted teeth because I was on Marlow mission.
Of course you were, yeah.
I had a saver on that.
It lost 2 shoes, Marlow mission, the front 2 shoes
fantastic.
During the race, but ran an absolute belter. Though for people thinking, oh, we're going to back Marlow mission for the national, etc., etc., I get the hints from McConnell. He's thinking more graded chasers than Grand National. He said if it won the Hennessy, he was going to run in the Gold Cup. So I'd be wary about anti-post vouchers for the national on Marlow mission. Even I think that could be a very good.
He's a bit of an arsehole, then, isn't he?
Yeah, well, he's been knobbing Amy Crook for ages now. I mean, it's done him. He's getting bolder, rubbing on headboard. But so the what I want to take from it.
Yeah.
It's a price I've seen, and I think this is value. So, Chris, you need to listen here because I know you said like first part of the show.
Only if the jockey's told you will I pay any attention.
Well, in a way, sort of. Right. So, Monbeg Genius, the third.
Yep.
I listened to John Joe's interview afterwards, and John Joe Jr., and he said that basically this horse is probably tailor-made for like Welsh National, Grand National. Now, I think the 7-1 available for the Welsh National is a cracking price because maximum field size of 20.
Yeah.
And this horse, if it lines up in the Welsh National, will be 3-1 fav. That's a fact. Right. 7s, and also for you old-fashioned folks, quarter odds 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yes.
I think that's a very attractive bet at 7-1.
Okay.
Because if you watch Newbury, when the taps really got turned on between 4 and 2 out, this horse got outpaced. He couldn't go with them. And then watch it on the running. It's really like clawing it back steadily. And this horse has won twice round Chepstow. So it's got Chepstow experience. It handles bad ground. It goes handy. It's unexposed at staying distances, which I think it's an absolute future Ida Chase winner, etc., etc. I think the Welsh National is a very, very suitable target. And I think that goes off on the day 3-1 fav if they line up. So 7-1.
Did they give any hints as to?
Yes. So John Joe Jr. said in an interview that he thinks Dad, if you like, will probably aim at the Welsh National now, and rightfully so, because as it's shaped there, you wouldn't want to be running back at 3 miles again. I think now we've got a future real strong staying star. Now, the only issue I've got with taking the 7-1 anti-post for Monbeg Genius is if they decide Grand National, why would you want to ruin the 147 mark? Why would you say win a Welsh National, go up to 153?
Because he's not fast enough for an English National.
John, that's actually a very good point, because despite the distance, as we know, the Grand National's no longer a sapping stamina test.
Gets out first, doesn't he?
Yeah, and I think Chepstow will suit him ideally, because you're going to get deep ground, 3 mile 6. Of course, he's very savvy with, and yeah, nothing not to like. That 701 is huge.
Okay.
If on the day you won't see anything like. How can you? An NSC third? What's going to match that form? Even Irish. What's going to match that form going in? Nothing. The best part about it is he can race off the same weight. So even if the handicapper did put him up a couple of pounds for that NSC third, he can race off 147 because he didn't win. So he won't get a penalty. So for me, I would say Monbeg Genius 701 each way, quarter odds 1, 2, 3, 4. If you don't want to waste 2 stakes and you think, well, what happens if they don't run him? I do think a speculative punt at 701 is well worth the while. And on the day, you will be looking a lot shorter than that.
Fair enough.
Yep, that was my take on the Coral Gold Cup. John,
you've talked me into it, and I've acted on it. So.
And it's generally available. It's not like it's available in like one place. And it's a wrong price, because this is strong handicap form. Because if you look at Monbeg Genius's previous form, it was third to Correct Rambler and Fast or Slow in the Ultima.
Yeah, that was the race, wasn't it?
Did it have a particularly hard race, do you think, yesterday? Or do you think it sort of like bottomed it? Or
No, I wouldn't have said that. I wouldn't have said it was bottomed or anything. The problem is with Newbury, how it's rode in recent times. You've had to be handy and you need pace. You can't come from the back. Very rarely can you come from the back at Newbury these days. I don't know what's changed, but something recently.
Whip rolls.
Well, yeah, I think it's more than that, John. I think there's something with the surface. Only any harm in asking on Saturday came from the back to have any sort of chance. Everything else that came from the back, well, apart from the NSC winner. That's why I'm impressed with That's All Right, Gino. I think that could be anything. That's the only one I've seen that's come from the back at Newbury over the 2 days. Everything else has like been stone cold on the front end or like handy within a couple of lengths. So yeah, that's where I'm at. Anyway, so we'll move on from Racing Review to Sunday Racing Review. So today there was a fantastic meeting at Fairyhouse. A lot of sort of boilovers, if you like. It was certainly a bookmaker's day. Let's focus on the bar one, the Racing Hatton's Grace, John.
Right.
So I've seen a lot of comments on Twitter, like slagging Impere Pass off. And I've got a view here I want to run past you.
Yeah.
Now, I think people are jumping the gun here a little bit, because what people aren't pointing out here, look at the official going description at Fairyhouse.
Yeah.
Soft, yielding to soft in places on hurdles course. Let me tell you this then. Today's racing, slow by 34.9, slow by 25.1, slow by, he doesn't even give it for that one, slow by 27.
Another clock.
Yep. Slow by 32.7. Tiapu's race, I can tell you, the standard time was 4 minutes 44 and change. So that would make it 37 seconds outside standard. Now, if I point out to you that Tiapu, if you look at his form, he's unbeaten on proper soft, heavy ground. Right? The only time he supposedly got beat on soft ground was Cheltenham, when it wasn't soft. It was like 8 seconds slower than standard. It was probably good to soft.
Yeah.
So every time this has been hock deep in Ireland, this horse is unbeaten Tiapu.
Yeah.
Come on, right? All the pocket talkers, you can tell them on Twitter, that have probably backed it, and it's not found as much as what they'd have hoped, right? This was bottomless ground today. This was really testing ground, and this was travelling all over these. When people talk about Constitution Hill, Endo wouldn't have run on that ground.
No.
Remember what he said to Lydia?
Oh, yeah, heavy.
It's heavy. It's heavy. So that's my point. That don't be quick to write this off, because this, if you'd have stopped the clock between sort of the second and the final flight, this horse was just absolutely on the lobber. And if this had been genuine good to yielding ground or yielding to soft, genuine yielding to soft, Tiapu wouldn't have got near it. That's my opinion. So I would not write Impere Pass off at all. I think that's a nice run, despite getting beat. I think Tiapu's a soup machine. It's a soup monster, John.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, that was my stance on that. Anything to add on today? Anything that you saw today that you liked or didn't like?
There was a fairly fit bird went past the house about 8:10 this morning jogging.
But with the old earphones in.
Yeah, didn't manage to get a picture, so.
Yeah, well,
Them's a break.
that's it. Dem's the break. Right, so anyway, so that's how we saw the big race, the Hatton's Great. Well, me anyway. We move on to serious topics now before fun. Interesting this week that the rumour mill's going round that, and it's not officially confirmed yet by official sources, that a certain track and trace GB, Dido Harding, is going to be appointed senior steward at the Jockey Club. I want to know you two's thoughts on this because it sent my crazy world even crazier.
Yeah, I think it's pretty certain, isn't it? I mean, I know it's a sort of a strong rumour, but she looks like the right sort of person that they would appoint for that role. And they would kid themselves that it's a victory for diversity and inclusion because she's the first female senior steward in the history of the sport. So they'll be patting themselves on the back for that, won't they?
Right. The one thing I don't understand, Chris, and you've probably more experience than me at this, is the corporate world. I can never get it because they always seem to appoint someone, especially in racing. You look at the big power 3 or 4, you've got Andrew John Rhodes, a former civil servant, like a political background. You have Jesse Harrington, no racing
Julie
experience. Julie Harrington, yeah.
Well, maybe Jesse.
Poor Jesse.
Yeah.
I know, it's old age. And then you've got Dido Harding coming at the Jockey Club. Now, this to me is a deathly power triangle.
Yeah, because at that level, whether it's the corporate world or the civil service, no one ever loses their job for following, the status quo, right? It's the old saying, no one ever got sacked for instructing Clifford Chance as a lawyer, right? Because it's on paper, it's a safe choice, right? And what you get is a kind of an endless cycle of the same people rocking up in the same kind of jobs. It's a world where kind of performance and credibility, are less important than the external optics, right? But the problem with this appointment, if it indeed goes forward, is that the external optics of appointing this person to the role is terrible. This isn't just a sort of a kind of a faceless sort of ex-civil servant or ex-CEO of a company. This is someone who's presided over a very high-profile scandal with Test and Trace. So this person's stock in wider society, is in the toilet. So by appointing this person, they are blind to the external optics. We're always told that, racing has to, appeal to a wider audience and be credible. Well, what's the wider audience going to think when this person is in charge, of stewarding at the Jockey Club? How serious a sport can it be that appoints this person? That's the problem.
John?
That's my view anyway.
John?
I'll try and briefly add a bit of context to this. I think this is pretty exemplar, to use a word that was bandied about during the COVID crisis, of the way in this country that the right connections can enable you to fail upwards throughout your career. Dido Harding is the daughter of John Harding, the second Baron Harding of Petherton, and the granddaughter of Field Marshal John Harding, first Baron Harding of Petherton, believe it or not, who commanded the Desert Rats for a few months in World War II and was supplanted when they got a proper commander in Field Marshal Montgomery. Now, this John Harding was a senior British Army officer in both the First World War and the Second World War, and later went on to advise the British government on their response to the Mau Mau uprising in Kenya. Can you believe that? I mean, that was such a fucking popular bit of action from the Brits.
Yeah.
I mean, red rosettes all round there for the way we handled that. She was at Oxford with David Cameron,
Yeah.
And initially, she went to Thomas Cook, former travel agents,
Yeah.
now
Gone bust.
gone. She worked at Manpower, now gone.
Yeah.
She worked at Woolworths, now
Yeah.
gone. There's a theme sort of appearing here.
Managed decline is the
Well,
phrase.
believe it or not, she actually went to Tesco as a commercial director, and that was about 20 years into her working life, and it's the first firm she's worked for that's still actually functioning.
Yeah.
Then when she went over to Talk in 2010, Carthorne Warehouse split.
I've got all their albums. They were quite good.
Yeah. It split its telephone business from the retail operation. She was appointed non-executive director of the Court of the Bank of England in 2014 as well. And she's also served on the board of British Land and Cheltenham Racecourse. Now, Talk experienced a cyber attack in 2015, during which personal and banking details of up to 4 million customers, not all of which were encrypted, were thought to have been accessed. City AM described responses as naive, noting that early on, when asked if the affected customer data was encrypted or not, she replied, "The awful truth is, I don't know."
Like Dido did, she raised the white flag.
She took an inflexible line on termination fees that were criticised. The Evening Standard noted at the time it's been a tough week for Talk boss Dido Harding, facing complaints from customers and calls for her head. They received 2 consecutive wooden spoons from the Daily Mail on customer service. The company was fined $400,000 on one occasion for failure to implement the most basic cybersecurity measures. And as a result of that, Dido Harding joined the House of Lords as a Conservative life peer on the 20th of October 2014. Obviously, with a massive success in the workplace, she sat on the Economic Affairs Committee since the 27th of June 2017. She has not once rebelled against her party on any vote that she has attended during her time in the House. That's the way to do it, as Mr. Punch would say.
You're hired.
2020, Health Secretary Matt Hancock announced Harding was going to be put in charge of Track, Test and Trace programme, later given the name NHS Test and Trace. She felt that the media gave her a pretty hard time over this because it was never ever going to stop the second wave, despite the fact when it was announced, the whole ethos behind it was that it was going to stop the second wave.
Mm.
So you see, this is, this characterizes, how racing operates. It kind of appoints from within a small group of titled, privileged individuals. So the idea that, racing wants to expand and become more kind of inclusive and more attractive to people from different communities only applies to those jobs at the bottom of the rung: stable staff, administrators, the sort of people that keep the sport running. But it doesn't extend to those positions that have the ability to change the strategic direction. Those jobs are, withheld from people from different backgrounds or different skill sets because they appoint from within. So it's self-perpetuating. The plebs keep the game going. The stupid punters pay for it, and the titled and the privileged, get the benefits of sitting at the top table. And that's racing in a nutshell. That's your example, your exemplar of how racing operates.
I think you two have been superb on the topic. John, very well researched, and Chris with the corporate angle in terms of
let's be fair,
how it all works.
This is unbelievable, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you looked at any other industry and said they were considering employing this person, you'd think they must be insane.
Yeah, you're saying there's no better candidate.
Yeah.
To be seen. There's nobody else. This is the best person for the job.
And given the small pool of people that they pick from,
yeah,
you wouldn't be surprised, because probably the other candidate was Matt Hancock.
But
That would have been.
Notwithstanding that, even if you had maybe 6 or 7 suitable candidates on paper, this is the best person. That's extraordinary. You're saying there's nobody better than this individual, despite all the, but this isn't just somebody that's had a low-key career in banking and business. This is a person that courts publicity. Her career has been characterized by controversy, mismanagement, and all of that seems to be overlooked because she's, well connected and comes from a jolly good family. And that's the problem. And if racing wants to be credible and, accessible to people from different backgrounds, they'll only have to look at that and say, what kind of sport has appointed this person to be in charge? They're mad. Completely mad.
Well, it is mad because the point is, obviously, she's like you said, Chris, it's not like they've employed a random civil servant or somebody that's have got a lesser profile. This is a big profile person with a history of failed operations.
Say they plucked Sue Gray's name out the hat, who we'd never heard of until she did the inquiry into Partygate.
Yeah.
You couldn't have said a lot.
No.
But my God.
Yeah.
Exactly.
This is an industry that's meant to be super sensitive to what the wider world thinks of the sport.
Well, the super sensitive to what we think of them.
It kind of beggars belief, doesn't it? It's just a really, really odd appointment.
Yeah, it is. If it goes,
beyond that, I think it's tragic, Chris.
Yeah,
it's one of them. I looked at it and I look back at the last 3 or 4 years again, where you look at the power triangle of who's in charge of the governing bodies or the governing bodies that can affect the sport, and you just despair beyond belief. Like, these are people that should be nowhere near in charge of anything to do with racing, and sadly, this is where we are. It is rather bizarre. It's difficult to take in for me.
Times form double squiggle, isn't she? It's sort of untrustworthy maiden of little account.
It is.
They describe it.
What do you think, listeners? I mean, but yeah, this is not good, is it? Right, move on to the next subject, which is the media rights deal for racecourses. And we've seen this in evidence now. I think Carlisle today proved this in spades, where the Cumbria police, for example, put out tweets regarding travel saying, please do not travel today unless it's essential. The M6 is down at 2 lanes. There's lots of snow everywhere up there. Carlisle was fit to race, which is fair enough, right? But as we saw, the Carlisle cars were decimated as trainers probably couldn't get their horses there to the races, and we ended up with 2, 3 runner races, etc. But of course, Carlisle race because they get fat on the media rights contract for putting races on. So, chaps, Bond's been on. He said, how race courses do in the past to survive before the advent of media rights?
They had car boot sales and they used the
David Dickinson
bar as a casino unlicensed.
Yeah, bargain hunt, Yeah. What happened? Well, look at Folkestone,
Yeah.
This is what happens. I'll be honest, if it wasn't for the media rights deal, I would predict at least a third of our British racecourses would either sell to land developers or would just pack in, like the ground game.
Well, yeah.
That's probably conservative, like you say. So the media rights deal, he's stopping that from happening, I think. But they've got very greedy and like anyone would. If you're getting paid, I don't know the figures involved. It's all hush-hush.
Wonderful, transparent sport we've got.
Yeah, let's say, I don't know, £5,000 a race, something like that, right? If your track's going to 7 race card, £35,000 in your track coffers.
9 race cards soon with Premier.
You're gonna race. That was there in evidence today, and this is where we've said in the podcast it's really difficult going forwards because there's so many factions pulling in different directions. You've got Big Corp that want their model, right, and they successfully get in there, which is obviously lots of wagons, no professional punters, no hope of winning any cash, play the slots, etc. Today, Cumbria Police said don't travel, and they've raced. So that tells you their angle. They're not bothered. You know, they don't get two fucks. And then you've the other factions like punters, not in the same direction, and that's the problem. No one gets behind the sport fully to succeed and thrive. This is where I'm afraid. I know we're a doom and gloom podcast, but it's going to see the sport's failure, and unless anything changes, it will fail because naturally, as time goes by, people will fall by the wayside. Whether that's punters, whether that's tracks, it will happen, and the biggest will survive. The biggest and the best will survive, which unfortunately are big corp. So, do we sort of concur with this?
Can't argue with any of
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it's pretty clear, isn't it? Unless, as you say, something seismic happens that no one expects. It's it's going down the U-bend, isn't it?
It is. Just to quote some figures, which are very alarming, and this is another thing why, if I were racing's like senior body, i.e. the BHA, so us three run it. We've got the top three positions in no particular order, right, at the BHA.
We'd have to break.
And we have to
through the night, and we'd have to be gone by 7.
Yeah. If they've left their iPad there, we might get the Deliveroo account, and get the old Mayfair takeaways delivered.
Have a quick shit on the desk and be out by 7.
Dirty protest.
Yeah.
Dirty Northern as well. We've only got outside toilets, Chris. So
that's quite right. Yeah, what do you expect? I can't expect.
Some interesting statistics, and these are, by the way, Gambling Commission stats.
Oh dear!
Right? But industry stats. They've recorded this using bookmaker data.
Okay.
And the very worrying sign here, and a very worrying trend and pattern. Betting exchanges are down 7.3% in the last year alone, right? Since the Gambling Commission have been recording data. And also, since affordability checks were introduced, betting exchange turnover is down 27%.
Oh, yeah.
Right? But this is the elephant in the room that the BHA, immediately we come out with statements going berserk to the national press on this, right? The slots, right, are up 37%, 877 million in profit for Big Corp.
Yeah.
And what we're getting down Sleepy Hollow, Holborn, what they're doing? Nothing. Nothing said, nothing. Nothing.
You're still wondering how shit on the desk.
Yeah.
Right? I'm sorry, but if I'd seen that data, and that was published on, I think, December the 1st, yeah? So I know it's only 2 days, but they might be at Cloisters or something. We don't,
Maybe.
Off-piste.
Off-piste, we don't know, do we? If that's not enough to worry racing, because people might say, well, I don't play on exchanges, I'm not bothered. All right, then. Here's another one. Right, annual data from Gambling Commission. Online slots up 8.6% to 3.22 billion profit. This is annual, right? Online racing turnover down 8.3%.
Mm-hmm. It's a grisly thing.
Right. How's affordability checks going?
Exactly. It's plain as a pikestaff, isn't it?
What we've been saying as a pod, Chris, for yonks, is bearing out to be true, right? Not conspiracy theories, not foil hatters, not outliers that's caught trouble causers, Twitter terrorists, or whatever else we're being called, right? Yeah. This is actually true.
I think
right? They are
as well,
lots. The Big Corp are destroying the game from within.
Yeah.
But at what purpose? What we said in last week's podcast, we need visionaries to run this game. Not people to run the game, but visionaries to actually say, right, what's going to happen next year, the year after that. Let's get the crystal ball out. Let's get the
horizons.
The Phoenix Knights clairvoyant. I'm getting the word nonce.
Yeah.
Clinton Baptiste. That's the one. Let's be Clinton Baptiste and let's try and predict what's going to happen in years to come. And that's what the whole point of the game is for successful leadership.
Yeah.
And for me, these guys are really so far off the ball that I'm sorry, it's collapsing in front of their very eyes, and they're doing nothing.
No, because they're administrators. At this point in the sport's history, you need leaders, you need visionaries, you need people to take the sport, to people to anticipate the threats of the sport and counteract it. Unfortunately, we still have administrators, people that are, happy to keep the status quo, and they're the wrong people for the job. That they might be the right people for the job in times of, stability. But this is the greatest threat to the future of the sport that there's ever been. And so, you don't want, administrators, you want leaders. And we haven't got any. And that's the problem.
John, have you anything to add to this?
Not really, other than, as you say, we need people that can see the bigger picture, and, well, you'd despair, wouldn't you?
Yeah, and as we've already talked about Dido, that is for me, if you're putting nails in a coffin, that's it, there and there. It's bleak. James Knight's been on. Good old James Knight, the old Coral Entain chappie. Obviously, he makes our point here as well.
He made a good point last week as well, didn't he?
He did. I gave him praise.
He's on a roll.
Yeah, he's on a roll. James Knight, you're on a roll. Is there a worse time for all weather to take a break, he says? If you accept all the jockeys need to take exactly the same week off, it seems everyone in racing can't even contemplate changing this area. Then you pick the week with the lowest chance of national abandonments, which isn't this week, says James Knight. What do we think, chaps?
Well, I think end of July would be a lot more optimistic for not losing any fixtures.
John, when you've done
it a hunch, as Quasimodo once said.
Well, I know weather's random, so we can have to time here, but like with the Chris Paul trumpets, but at the end of the day, would we have not done it straight after the November handicap?
Well, if you have to do it at this time of year, but I mean, I don't say if it's all year round, why can't you have it in July? It's a week off out of 52. So I mean, what's the deal?
Yeah, it's odd, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not like they're having a week off in winter and a week off in summer. They're having 1 week off in the year. So make that week the week when there won't be any racing.
Yeah. Yes, and it's again, this is leadership for you, though. This is the strange world we live in racing at the moment. Before we go on to funnies, I'm just going to get a few more serious questions out of the way. Stephen Thomas points out about he thinks the Newbury Clark George Hill needs a big shout out. He and his team did a remarkable job to get the meeting on. And,
Yay, Georgie boy!
Yeah.
All right.
That'll do.
Yeah, that'll do. Yeah. He also says about Connor Stone Walsh, future jump jockey star. This jockey won on Solness on Saturday at Fairy House.
Isn't this the lad that's had 2 red show winners?
Yeah, he's a crack £7 apprentice on the flat. He's a very good jockey. But do you reckon, John, with him riding over jumps, he's probably suffering weight issues?
Or mental problems.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they don't.
If you're not suffering with weight issues and you can make it as a flat jockey and you go over the jumps, there's definitely something wrong with your napper.
I mean, look at, for example, Crowley. Crowley rode for Venetia, didn't it? For years. Now, and he ended up with Mac Toon job.
Yeah, and happiest person with that Dale's Venetia.
Yeah. Can you believe it? He's riding 110 chases around Lingfield for Venetia, and then he's riding Baid.
Amdad must have seen something in him that Way didn't.
Yes, clearly.
She left the boots on, John. Yeah, definitely. And that kimono she wore at Cheltenham once.
Ooh,
yeah.
Sunglasses a lot, yeah.
Yeah, she was trying
left
that
the teeth
day.
in as well.
She was trying that day.
Yeah, left the teeth in as well.
John, you'd love a go. Right, anyway. Mark's been on, Mr. TT, and he said, how long has National Hunt Racing got in its present form in the UK? Small fields, not enough decent horses, the programme as a whole, animal rights, it's all mounting up. How long's it got?
5 to 10.
Yeah.
I reckon.
And then Gold Cup's in Ireland, isn't it?
Yeah. Because move out the lock, stock and barrel.
Yeah.
And build another one somewhere near Drumore. Comedic effect.
Yeah. That's really good. Tony Earnshaw's been on, and he said at Aintree starting at 11:10 next Saturday to fit in extra races. When
nice.
it's odds on, low sun will be ruining them.
Yeah.
No. Get your bumpers ready.
This is a massive problem. I mean, look at Doncaster Saturday. That was a farce, wasn't it? Like everyone was saying, you may as well run a fucking flat card. I mean, you got good ground. You just may as well run a flat card just for laugh. Why not? It's just bizarre how we've gone like this. John, think back to 80s. Do you remember as many dolling offs as this?
I don't remember. I'll be honest with you, I don't remember any dollings off.
I was running a betting office for about 3 years. It would have been 1994 to 97. And I can remember odd fences dolled off, but it was usually because they were broken.
I mean, let's be fair though. I mean, most of them that were riding in the late 70s, early 80s, I mean, they were just gagging for the sweet release of everlasting sleep anyway, weren't they? So,
yeah, sweet embrace. Yes, quite.
Yeah, you know, I mean, they'd be in the booze at lunchtime before they set off.
Yeah, bizarre, really. I can remember there was one meeting and someone messaged me from the track, and I can't remember who it was, and I can't remember what track it was. That I've got Alzheimer's. But he said that the sun wasn't even directly in their eyes. It was only like half and half, if you like. It weren't like direct on, and they got them all doled off. Since we learned how it works, and it isn't like the steward sat in the office, it's literally the safety officer at the start. And if jockeys moan and say, and by the way, if you're a jockey, why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Because every time you have to jump a fence, you've probably got a 0.0001% chance of breaking your leg and being out for the season or whatever. And so you're not going to jump them. That process needs changing for a start. You can't have jockeys dictating to have a safety officer, because then safety officer's under pressure from where go, because if he says no, he's never going to say no, is he?
No.
Because
then he has any sense.
Yeah. So it's just fucking pointless. Safety officer's just going to go, all right then. If a jockey breaks his leg or breaks his collarbone, jockey's going to say, I fucking told you.
That must be the easiest job at the BHA at the minute, the safety officer.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Because you just agree with the jockeys, don't you?
Yeah.
No matter what.
It is pretty shit. Right. A choice of cake with a cuppa.
Choice of cake. Ooh.
Right. Nick Davis has been on. He said Genoa. I've seen a response today. Yeah. It's like a Welsh cake. I forget it. Begin with B.
Barra-Bricks.
Is that where it is? What's it called, John?
Yeah. Barra-Bricks.
Barra cake's what it is in Wales, isn't it? Some shit.
Right, so I looked at what this is. Right, it's some sort of like fruit loaf. Morrison stopped selling it in 2006 due to lack of demand.
Yeah, no surprise there.
That bodes well, doesn't it?
But the said poster, sorry, I forget your name. He said that he loved that with loads of butter on, and it was very nice. And I bet it was. Some people said malt loaf with lots of butter on.
Malt loaf's nice.
Me, chaps, I'm Battenberg all the way.
Oh, yeah, fucking right. Mr.
Fucking Battenberg. Mark Walford's Ursa Major colours. Get a big lump of Battenberg with a cup of tea, and I'm all that.
Yeah, I'll go with that. Yeah, it's like intensely sweet, isn't it? It's the sweetest thing in the world. It's like eating a bag of Tate and Lyle, isn't it? Battenberg. Yeah.
Gives you a massive lift, especially if you're down. Have a large lump of Battenberg. Tremendous. Jonas, what are you saying?
I like a Bakewell tart, mate.
What, with a cherry on top?
Well, it's got to be homemade, and there's got to be the thick end of a full pot of jam in the bottom.
All right.
I don't like these bought ones where they're scrimping and sit there. I mean, I've actually seen them where they paint the jam on with a fucking paintbrush. That is no good whatsoever. You need to actually empty the pot of jam into the base, and then add your frangipan or whatever the hell you call it, and then bake it and then ice it. And then it's nice, you know. But you can't scrimp. If it's a scrimpy one, you might as well chuck it at the cat. Well, but if it's made properly, it's well worth making a cuppa. So.
Have you ever been to Bakewell? Like to have proper Bakewell tarts? Yeah.
Famous murder there, wasn't there? Bakewell tart murder. Remember that?
Was there?
Yeah,
No.
very famous one. Yeah, unfortunately, the lady who cooked was sort of got given the moniker the Bakewell tart, which is a typical tabloid place. But yeah, very famous murder. That look it up.
I'm actually going to Google that. Yeah,
Do it.
Yeah, Bakewell's a good place. Make a fabulous Bakewell tart there, John.
Ooh.
The producer has suggested Victoria Sponge, an old-fashioned
It's a
Victoria
classic.
Sponge.
It's a classic, isn't it? I think tea with no sugar would be important with that one.
Oh yeah, I never have sugar anyway.
I think the sugar content would clash.
So when you have a cup of tea, chaps, do you like a good strong one, like where it's like?
Nah,
do you
not
leave
for
the
me.
tea bag in? Do you have
Yeah.
a teapot?
Yeah,
No.
definitely. Teapot is essential. Too lazy to do it normally, but that's a different class of tea. I think if you use a teapot, personally.
Yeah.
I stir it round the cup, about 4 laps of the cup, squeeze it and out.
That's piss, that is.
Well, it's borderline piss, but then I improve that borderline piss by adding 4 or 5 Sweetex tablets.
Do you know what though? Right, the teapot thing is a real good argument, I think, because I think we've lost our way with that as British culture, because teapots are fantastic for producing fantastically strong tea.
Yeah.
I can't remember the last time I was in a house where there was a teapot.
Yeah.
No, absolutely right. It is a much better cup of tea. It really.
You lads haven't got teapots, have you?
Yeah.
Have you?
We have, yeah.
Of course, you got a teapot. We're
But
not animals.
I would say that me and the producer are probably lazy. We buy a tea bag called Tea Pigs.
Yeah.
They're fantastic tea. A bit like John says, for quickness, dab it in and like squeeze it hard against the sides of the cup.
Is it your cock or the tea bag?
You do get a really good strong cup of tea. That's our excitement, really, on a day. Tea Pigs. They're very good, very expensive, but very good. I mean, it isn't being posh or snobby to buy expensive tea bags. It's just saying, well, I'd rather have a nice cup of tea than a fucking average one. That's it. And
yeah.
Yeah.
You don't have to justify it. That it's not a class war. We get you, brother. Honestly, we get you.
Yeah. I know, like the outside toilets thing, but I get this. But a nice cup of tea makes the world go round and makes the day go better. So going with it, Battenberg. That's the nap. Battenberg. You've got to get a roll of Battenberg and slice one. Yeah, a bit of cup of tea. Lovely.
Amen to that.
Absolutely. We've got 2 more questions, right, to finish the show. These are really good ones. One is Chris Pull, and he said, this is funny. What price did you get on the Pogues for Xmas #1? Must be on. Everyone is. Do you know what? The poor cunt wasn't fucking cold, right?
Dirty bastards.
Doff your cap and put it to your chest, and then a second later, you're fucking clicking on your betting account, taking the 4 to 7.
Yeah.
I tell you what, I hope Jimmy Cargill's people bring a single out just to shaft them.
Yeah. I'm on Henry
absolutely.
Kissinger big as well. He's having one for the Christmas #1.
Henry Kissinger, right? So describe to me. I mean, this man was guilty of so many war crimes, was he not? I mean, basically instigating war after war after war.
Yeah, dreadful. Yeah, I mean, Christopher Hitchens wrote a famous book about him, which kind of sums up what Kissinger's legacy was. Not positive. Put it that way. He should have been, employed in the BHA on that basis. I think he's eminently qualified.
It was the original American first. He made Trump look like a real amateur.
Yeah.
So, Samuel the Cat's question to finish.
Right.
Chris Paul, great point there. Samuel the Cat, though, he has a very funny question. In another life, like life again, you got a chance to date a celebrity. Who would it be, and where would you take her to impress her? Chris?
Crikey. I would take Ava Gardner to Pizza Planet in Westcliff for an all-you-can-eat pizza and sharing bucket, and then she'd give me a wank in the back of my VW Sirocco. There you go.
I'm dying.
There you go.
John?
Just purely for the notoriety, I would take Mother Teresa to a Taylor Swift gig.
Yeah.
And as you arrive on the red carpet, I'd just be like nodding and winking at the photographers and that, and say, yeah, and I'm going to do it after this.
Yeah. Elderly Albanian virgin nun.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I'm going to give her a bigger fucking than she gives to the paupers in Calcutta.
Yeah.
Very much.
Friend of poverty.
First thing I thought of was there were 2 in my. They were Barbara Bach.
Oh,
What was she in? James Bond.
you've took this seriously. You were actually going to shag these, eh?
No. I'll get to the end. Barbara Bach, who played Goodnight in Man with a Golden Gun.
Oh, Britt Eklund.
Britt Eklund. Yeah. So you got
Oh.
Barbara Bach and Britt Eklund, and I'd take them. There was a van in Sheffield that it wasn't right.
Van.
Right. Yeah, and I loved this. Right, it was open after the nightclubs were shut. He opened till like 5 a.m, and like in the day, I know in the days before, obviously, like young'uns won't understand. They just think, well, what's so special about this? This was the days when nothing was open. You couldn't get a fucking meal after 11 o'clock in 1980s, 1990s, apart from Indians. This van was open till 5 a.m, and it was in the middle of a shithole estate. And I took them, I brought them a mobile table and chairs, sat them round and said, right, you need a cup of hot chocolate and a Cheeseburger. And that was what I used to do. But the famous Cheeseburger was his brilliant beef patty, which was beautifully cooked, right, with a lovely runny egg and a cheese topping. That was called the Cheeseburger. It was famous. It was like famous in Sheffield. And Greasy Vera's, it was an institution. And bless him, he ran it until I think he
died of food poisoning.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, that. But his hot chocolates were to die for. And that's where I used to go in my youth. And I would take them there and I'd say, Britt, Barbara, I'd say, no! Like an Harry Enfield sketch.
Yeah, like Pete and Dad, wasn't it? Like Sophia Loren climbing up his ladder in his window, that sketch. You remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. So, well, I'm sure that would definitely have worked if we did encounter those women. 100%.
A Cheeseburger and not chocolate. I'm sorry. They were just, you can't repeat them days. What a good end to the show. Thank you for the questions and I hope you enjoyed it. We're back on next Friday as usual. Hopefully we'll have a suitable panel to guide you through the weekend. If we don't, we're back on Sunday to talk more drivel. As always, that's all from us. Bye for now.